What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another Walking Dead video. We got some news today coming out of the Walking Dead world. Apparently, and this is not 100% confirmed by any means, they have not made any kind of official announcement, but it is out there on the rumor mill that they are working on Season 4 of Daryl Dixon. Now, we know that they're not real shy about announcing these seasons early. They jumped into filming Season 3 before Season 2 even got out there, and they're just really anxious, I guess, about getting it all done, making sure it's all taken care of. But they're just not about the secrecy like they used to be with these shows. Like, you could not pay someone on the production to give you any kind of secrets about the show, about cliffhangers or anything like that. They were very locked down, very secretive about everything that was going on with these shows. But with the Daryl Dixon spinoff and some of Dead City, I don't see a whole lot about Dead City as much as I do Daryl, but it feels like they're just, here you are, we're filming it, fuck it, we're telling you, we're not even going to hold it back. And that's just been kind of one of the disappointing factors about these shows, that they don't care, that they want you to know. They don't care if there's any kind of big surprise. They want you to know what's going on and everything in between. And it seems it's not going to change going forward with what they're doing, because they are talking about doing a Season 4. At least it's in the pre-production stages. They're actually writing it at this moment, I believe. And I'm sure some announcement will come soon, and they'll say be out in 2026, because we're supposed to get Season 3 sometime next year, more than likely in the fall. They kind of stick with the spring and the fall time frames as far as releasing these shows. And I guess they're still talking about another spinoff, and there's some news that's supposed to be coming out about Rick. I'll leave a video to the link I did about that. But it just seems like they're doing a Season 4, and here's the thing. They are not staying in Spain. As we know, they're going to be in Spain and in London for a brief time with the Season 3. They're going to jump to the Middle East for the next season, completely kind of deviating from any path that's going to take them home and get the reunions that we want to see, get the closure that we want to see. And they're just like, fuck it, we're just going to take this in a different direction, and we're going to drag out the show even further, because at this point, it's not about the quality of the show. It's about the paycheck that Scott Gimple is getting in his back pocket, dragging out these characters, dragging out this universe, and not giving us any real closure for fans, and giving us any kind of reunions that we want to see. And just further, it's like Daryl's just, at this point anyways, yes, we got the first 2 seasons in France. After the first season, the France storyline really started to die. They started to just nix characters left and right, and to bring in Carol, to have her take over that strong female lead that we had with Isabel in the first season. And Isabel barely had any screen time in this last season. And now just, you got Daryl just hopping all over the planet like fucking Seabiscuit. They don't care anymore. They're just doing these stories just for the sake of keeping this character going, even though the quality, as we can all see, is not that great. Norman Reedus hyped up the season finale, Season 2, saying it's the best Walking Dead ever. It wasn't, by far. There was nothing about that made it so special, that was just so amazing and just so great. It was just another letdown. I mean, and just the way they dealt with some of the characters, too, because they had Condron, and Condron had kind of a up-down story arc throughout the first and second season. He was introduced as being kind of a bad guy, and going on misinformation. And then as the story progressed, as we started seeing him a little bit more and the things that he went through to protect Laurent and protect the secret of where they were stashing him, he paid the price, and he had a very uprising story arc. He had a redeeming story arc, and then they just kind of closed out his character, and whether or not we're going to see him again, we don't know. And they just kind of give this weak-ass story closing for his character, where they go into the channel that's going to connect France to England, and then supposedly they're supposed to get home from there, but we know that's not going to be the case. They're going to take the story and just kind of run off with it. But he goes in this tunnel, and then they all start tripping out because of the toxic fumes in the tunnel. He attacks Daryl. Daryl gets him off of him, and he just takes off in the darkness. And just, it's a really stupid way to end his character when he was showing such redeeming qualities. His story was really improving, and I really started to like the character and the direction they were taking him, and then they said, fuck it, cut him loose. And so with them rumored to do a Season 4, taking it to the Middle East, that's, from my understanding, is, you know, I'm not great with geography or anything, but it's just the complete opposite direction of getting Daryl home. So they're in no rush to get Daryl home, to complete the story, to give us the reunions that we want to see, and just give this corner of the Walking Dead universe proper closure and satisfy the fans, because this is the thing that's really starting to grate on the nerves of the fans. They're really just over this whole stretching out this story, and it's making us anxious, it's making us annoyed. People are walking away from it. I personally am very much fed up with the way that they're doing the story. It's not going to keep me from watching it because it's just not that simple, because I have morbid curiosity and I just want to know how the fuck it's going to end. But they just keep dragging it out and keep introducing these characters, and then in some cases we got a few very good characters and they just fucking kill them off. That was the most annoying part about the last few episodes of Season 2. We had Isabel, who I really liked as a character, and then they just gave her the cheapest death possible and just some of the stupidest dialogue as her dying words. And then it just seemed like the next episode, Daryl didn't care. He just kind of moved on. He'd gotten over it. We had a couple moments where he's just kind of sitting there quietly and brooding over it and everything, but they just didn't seem to take it past. They just didn't seem to take it anywhere past that. He didn't really reflect on it. And then we had her do her cameo in the finale, where I guess this was his way of kind of dealing with it, kind of putting her to rest, having her come visit him and all his delirium or hallucinations or what have you, while they're all trapped in this tunnel. The same with Carol. They kept kind of revisiting the whole Sophia thing, even though it's been over a decade since that character was even on camera. And then they brought in this body double to play just her stand-in and everything, her in walker form, and then it was to help Carol move on. And so just the writing quality of what we've been getting is definitely not to par. It's not best 1 hour Walking Dead ever, as Norman Reedus really tried to sell us, and I just didn't buy it, and the story didn't do it for me, and just that's the thing. Before they did all of this, and this is kind of going on par with another creator that I like to watch, if they really wanted to satisfy fans, or if they really gave a shit about what fans thought, they would have given us that reunion before Daryl went on his little adventure and just kind of nixed that part of the story, because the whole driving force behind his initial, leaving the whole Commonwealth area and going on this venture, that was he was going to go look for Rick, and then he gets caught up in this other shit, and it just kind of, again, nixes that part of the story, and just he doesn't seem too concerned, other than we got in the, I think it was episode 4 or 5, where Daryl just straight up asked Carol, who were you talking about on the radio when you said so-and-so came back? And she just said it was a feeling. It was a complete cop-out. And so many people were so certain that she was going to tell him that Rick was back, or she was at least going to allude to that, or just something, that we were going to get the return of some character, but she just said, oh, it's a feeling, it just doesn't feel right, blah, blah, blah. A real just stupid writing choice. I didn't like it. And I know people are going to say, and they have said it, well, why don't you just stop watching the show? It's not that fucking simple. I've been watching this stupid universe for over a decade, and I want to see how it fucking ends. And that's just been one stupid thing people have said, but, you can have your opinions and whatnot. You're free to, obviously, but it just doesn't seem like they have a clear direction with what they want to do with the show. It just seems like they're going to have Daryl go off on these random adventures into random different countries, and they're just going to one day decide, okay, that's enough, let's take him home, and maybe we will get that reunion. Maybe we'll get proper closure to our characters that were just kind of left out there in the open, because we had the open-ended thing with Morgan, the open-ended thing with Dwight and Sherry, and obviously the big one with Rick and Daryl. Will they get their reunion? Will these brothers be reunited? And then they can have kind of the best version of a happy ending that they could do for these characters and for this part of the story. And if they wanted to, then they could move on and start new spin-offs, or do something where it's just not the same shit dragged out over and over and just told in different ways. So there, sorry for my long-ass rant, but just with the fact that a season 4 of Daryl Dixon's being alluded to, and it's just yet another thing of him going off into some other random country, it just doesn't make sense to me anymore, and I don't get it. And yes, sometimes I wish that it would just be over, and they would do something to keep me interested, but they're just not at this point. I am slowly losing interest with it, but I'm going to stick with it because I want to see how it ends, and I want to see that happy ending, and some indication that the writers and the showrunners and everything are listening to the fans. But at this point, it just really doesn't seem like it. Scott Gimple, as we all know, has made terrible decision after terrible decision all going back to the decision to do away with Chandler Riggs playing Carl Grimes. That was just like the first big dumb decision that he made that people fucking hated, and they've never forgiven him for it. And I said as much when I got the chance to meet Chandler, and I got the chance to meet Kaylee, who played Enid. They've never forgiven. People are still pissed about that because it ruined such a vital part of the story, really, because if you read the comics, it all ends with Carl. He is the last one standing, and it just took away from a lot. But again, sorry for rambling on, sorry for the rant, but just I feel like it needs to be said, even though people have obviously said it more than once, but just the possibility of a season 4 of Daryl with no clear picture of what they're really trying to accomplish with this story, and also it being more and more clear as these years go by, aside from the amazing show that was The Ones Who Live, minus the finale, it was kind of rushed and just didn't make sense. The writing team and the showrunners and everybody involved in creating these shows, it's becoming more clear that they don't care what we think as a fan base. And if they were to see this, anyone from that team, which I know is very unlikely, stop it. They just need to stop fucking with this and just get to the point already. Because we're really over it, and we want to see everyone come back together and give us, again, the best possible happy ending that they can give us in a world like this. And tie up these loose ends and just, you're going to drag the shows into a second decade, and it's at some point you have to realize that people are going to walk away. They have walked away after certain characters were killed and everything. But anyways, guys, enough with my complaining. If you have any similar thoughts, you enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing, help me reach that 1,000 subscriber goal, and I will see you later. So take care, bye.